welcome to the Introduction to Basic Biochemistry, a wonderful study for those who would want to borrow concepts and principles in chemistry and apply in various health sciences. And this is a wonderful introductory training which we would want to share so that you buy the idea and understand where your field, for this case nutrition, becomes very handy and very important. Now, biochemistry is a branch of science that explores the chemical processes within and around living organisms. Now, when we are talking about this, we are here talking about chemical processes, okay? And we are also trying to compare that with living organisms. This is a very, very, very important relation, because these two concepts is what we want to try to link as we are talking about biochemistry. Now, the biggest aspect here is the understanding of chemical knowledge and how it is used to solve biological problems. The focus is on the process happening at the molecular level, okay, or what we would quickly talk about as cellular components and processes. Now, one should see the significance of biochemistry as an aspect aimed to understand the means by which energy is extracted and consumed in cells. Okay. Now, for chemical processes, we need to know terminology such as system. We need to know what we mean by the universe. We need to know what we mean by isolated system and then closed. The difference between all this. So, for us to understand the relationship, the energy concept, as far as biochemistry is concerned, we have to begin with these terminologies, which of course we want to define what a system is as far as these organisms are concerned. Now, when you talk about a chemical process, solutions, reactants, products, solvent, and the immediate atmosphere form a system. Okay. Now, the system itself and its surrounding forms a universe. Okay. Now, if the system exchanges neither matter nor energy, so that simply means there is no communication between the system and the environment, then we call that system isolated. Okay. Now, if that is the case, then we are going to further define the other cases. If energy, and not matter is exchanged, then it is closed system. Okay. You will see why we are defining these terms, so where we can see where our living organisms fall. If both matter and energy are exchanged, then we say we are dealing with an open system. Okay. So if we have an open system, that is now the cases we are going to deal with. Okay. So now the cases we are going to deal with, and it's a very important thing to talk about at this time. Now, we would want to declare that all living organisms are open systems. In other words, what is in communicates with what is out. Energy and matter can be transferred from the environment into the system and from the system to the environment. They derive energy from the environment in two ways. Okay. There is extraction of energy by oxidizing the chemical fuels such as glucose. Okay. And they absorb. We are going to talk about this later in depth. And then absorbs energy from sunlight. You realize that this light, in a process that we are going to talk about in a few, is the major source of energy. Sunlight is the major source of energy for living organisms. Okay. And even for plants, you can take, for example, plants making their own food depend greatly on this aspect. Now we should remember a principle of energy conservation which talks about the total energy in the universe remains constant. That is, though the form of energy may change. That is first law of thermodynamics. Okay, this aspect simply means we have those organisms that take the energy, convert into some form, that form is consumed by others, revert the energy back to the system, and then the system ends up having energy conversion, yeah, and never destruction or creation. So we never create energy, we never destroy energy, but we can only transform energy from one form to another. Actually, that is where the word transformation of energy came from. Now, cells are consummate transducers of energy. Okay, what is a transducer? A transducer is basically a system that is able to convert energy from one form to another. Okay, so we call cells, which are actually the building blocks of living organisms, as transducers. Now, that is a very important concept because of their ability to do this energy transformation, as we have mentioned earlier. Now, biochemistry and energy, as we still continue talking about it here, we want to think of photosynthetic cells and non-photosynthetic cells. Now, for this case, cells absorb light energy and use it to drive electrons. Yeah, we will talk about electron transport later. Use it to drive electrons from water to carbon dioxide, yes, forming energy-rich products such as glucose, okay, which of course has this general formula, starch, okay, and sucrose, releasing oxygen to the atmosphere. Now the reverse of this normally happens. So this is the simplest equation. You see, sunlight here is an agent of energy source, and you see oxygen is produced at this end, and we have these other very important components. Now, if you go to the non-photosynthetic case, okay, cells and organisms obtain energy by oxidizing energy-rich products, okay, of photosynthesis, as passing electrons to the atmospheric oxygen to form what? Water. So you see water is a product here, and energy is produced. Okay, so you see the starting compound here includes energy-rich substances like what we have here, and the end products which are recycled in the environment are also part of the things which are produced in this process. This is a basic process of energy production in living organisms that needs to be appreciated. Now, in trying to draw the introduction to biochemistry, basic biochemistry, we needed to first know what biochemistry is, and then we try to look at the terminologies involved, and also to work on this basic concept of just trying to link organisms and energy. And of course you have seen chemical processes going on here, so that is actually a step in trying to link bio and chemistry, and that is very, very, very important. In our next little study, we are going to begin our journey on carbohydrates. I hope you enjoyed the first lecture, and I want to believe that our future lectures will be much enjoyable. For you to get alerts quickly, you need to subscribe to this channel as we proceed. Thank you.